We are live here tonight, Wisdom Radio. Good to see everybody in the chat. Black Circle, what's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Woody Johnson, man, always good to see you. Definitely, bro. And Dutch Blacko, man. Hood Morgan, man. Good to see you. Live from the Netherlands. Yes, tonight is the power of sperm. So we're about to get deep on this. This is a serious subject here. And of course, people know I came out with the book recently, Nightmare on Sperm Street. And this talks about the power of sperm, traumatized vaginas, behind the lips, which is all the diseases that a person can get just from kissing someone. Creating the Nightmare, Chapter 4. The illusion of safe sex. Now, the illusion of safe sex, we see that all around us. It is the promise from movies, music, television sitcoms of being able to have promiscuous sex without consequence. Now, there's always going to be a consequence, and that's some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about, you know. And just like to say what's up to Mike Temper. What's up, man? Tony Snow, my brother. What's up, man? Good to see you. Noah Blows Cattle. What's up? You guys are great. And, you know, so if I go through the chapters on Nightmare on Sperm Street, Behind the Lips, The Power of Sperm, Traumatized Vaginas, Creating the Nightmare, The Illusion of Safe Sex, Dangerous Contraceptives, Seminal Intelligence, Vaginal Intelligence, and Sexual Education. 10 chapters packed with information. Just going to check to see who we have here tonight. Max, who this is? Steve Jr. Steve Jr.
Hello?
Yes. I just want to know, who are you?
Oh, I'm just a regular listener. Just want to say something real quick. A week ago, I went to, I couldn't believe it, but I went to Las Vegas and I was walking around and I saw this creep just approaching random women using game. So I felt hilarious. He was ignored by all the women. And yeah, that's it. That's all I want to say. I didn't believe it was true until I actually saw it with my own eyes. That people actually
This show's going to be about the power of sperm. So if you have anything to add on that, or
no, that's all I want to say. But I'm listening to your show. Love it. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thanks. So as I was saying, with the power of sperm, we will get into, do women retain the sperm from all of their previous sex partners? And the evidence is showing that it does. The evidence, as I mentioned in the book, in chapter 2, that at the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Facility in Washington State, they actually have found male DNA in female brains. And we'll get into that, definitely. Jose Marquez, what's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Yes, back with a bang, man. And here we are together again on the radio. You know what's up, Jake. Jared, my brother, what's up, man? Yeah, we're back, man. We're definitely live, getting it busy. Precision, man, what's up, man? Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Chip, what's up, man? I got the link pinned to the top if you want to get in on some good conversation. Good to see you. Darkest Night, my brother. Yeah, man. Same old stuff, different day, bro. Definitely. So you know what's up. And it's good to see you here as always, man. Always. The power of sperm. The power of sperm is immense, because when you think about it, how is it that something that's inside of us, you know, every other cell is a part of our body, a full cell, a bone cell, a skin cell, a liver cell, the heart, you know, cell, any type blood cell, right? Except for the sperm. The sperm is a haploid cell. It needs to join with something, just like the egg or the ovum. And this is, this is something that I find very fascinating. I've researched it for years, and finally, to produce the book, Nightmare on Sperm Street. So I'm just looking for the, okay, here you go. So now I'll go over some of the facts actually from The Power of Sperm. I'll read through it. This, okay, just checking. Okay, just going through some of my notes here. The book is actually 313 pages in print, so yeah, it's a little hefty there. It's definitely hefty there. Trying to check back and forth between windows. Oh yeah, that is a lot of cells, man, without a doubt. Okay, here I am. The Power of Sperm, Chapter 2. Sperm is powerful enough to imprint a female with its genetic signature forever. Now, I say this forever is because they have found the male DNA within the brains of female patients. These are autopsies that have found the signature, the Y chromosome signature. Now, if that's in the autopsy body, which science has proven this, then it is in there for the living life forever. I think the oldest patient was like 103 that they found it in. So male DNA being found in brains of autopsied female bodies, fetal cells living in women, and seminal saturation caused by retention of sperm are just a few starting points. But the fact females have produced offspring sired by subsequent males who retain characteristics from their first mate seems a proper place to begin when speaking about the power of sperm. The phenomena is known as telogamy, and it is met with extreme skepticism. Now, anybody who knows about breeding dogs or horses or certain animals will understand that telogamy has been known in the field of farming, in the field of animal breeding. They will not breed an animal with a non-virgin dog or a horse. So let me look for the. Okay, there it goes. Mr. X, is this you?
This is me, MD.
Good to see you, man. Thank you for the review too, man. I appreciate that.
Oh, definitely. And I have when you have a chance, I have a statement and a question also regarding the book.
Oh, sure. Go right ahead.
Okay. Well, first part, I'll give the statement. I think when we look at things on a molecular level, like science is discovering, we find that the cells are actually more complex than, instead of simple, they're actually far more complex than what we realize. I know we had talked about the flagellum, but I saw one video recently on YouTube where it looks like some type of robot is in one of the cells and doing work, some type of artificial intelligence. He had arms, he had legs, and he's going around. So in regards to the chapter of vaginal and seminal intelligence, I think science is pointing to the evidence that, yes, it does have intelligence, as science is discovering. And one of the other question that I had was, and I think there's evidence to support this, is do you believe that females who are promiscuous, have lots of sex, ingest lots of semen, is it possible so much male DNA entering them causes them to become bisexual? And I think the evidence that supports that is the fact that female bisexuality has risen dramatically in comparison to the past. So I want to get your opinion on that, if that could change their sexual preferences.
Yes. And I'll bring up an instance of that actually. Just let me check. Dutch Black Pill, is this you?
Yeah.
Good to see you, man. Goedemorgen, man.
Goedemorgen.
Yeah. In reference to Mr. X's question, there was a guy, right? Matter of fact, I spoke with him last week, and he has a show. I did a live stream with him, and he said he used to own a strip club, and he knew a girl that went out, a woman that was actually married, and she used to do drugs, and she went to a party, and she got inebriated to where she couldn't really, be coherent. and she was gangbanged by 10 different guys at the least. So at least 10 guys, right? And she told the guy that I was speaking with that the next day she vaguely remembered it, and she felt like an animal. She didn't feel human anymore. She felt like an animal, just that was used. You know, you had all of these guys on her, inseminating her. And before this, she was married and she was heterosexual. And she started craving women, she said. She said she never had those feelings before. And I wonder, in theory, could it be the saturation from so many different types of sperm combined? You know, now the men who inseminated her craved a woman, right? So could that have been so many times, 10 times passed into her on different levels, eventually get absorbed into her, because it does get absorbed, and for her to start exhibiting that male-like behavior of craving females, which would be bisexuality, or at the least, if not full-blown lesbianism.
Right.
Yeah. So I did. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that's groundbreaking right there, because when we talk about sexual inflation, I mean, that has a whole different dimension to it. That more females are becoming bisexual, not craving men anymore. The ones who are promiscuous. I mean, that's to me, that's real groundbreaking material there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, this is why I called it a nightmare on Sperm Street, because she actually becomes a nightmare on Sperm Street. She is the epitome of the spermaholic at that point. And you know, this is not to shame or anything like that. This is to identify, you know, to say, look, you know, what is it that sperm, the effects of sperm, do to people? You know, this is a serious thing. This is real. You know, on chapter 4, and of course I know you've read the book, Creating the Nightmare, where I say it begins with a stroll down Sperm Street. The innocent female strolls into a world of sexual promiscuity, unaware about consequences of seminal absorption. Sperm embed themselves deeper into her cells with every sexual experience she encounters. Seminal fluids absorbed from multiple sex partners trigger emotions never before experienced by the once previous virgin. Sperm begins to enter her mind. There is no turning back from this point. The nightmare advances as strange forms of mental trauma begin to surface. Side effects from semen alter her behavior in dramatic fashion. Her body now begins to crave sperm, seeking to accumulate more semen from any source, which fuels the nightmare into epic proportions. She is no longer as pure as the driven snow. The forbidden fruit has been tasted and its seeds swallowed, deeply planting themselves within the flesh of her bodily garden. Now, this is just 2 paragraphs into the 4th chapter, where I start to explain, you know, like, hey man, this is a serious thing. This is the creating the nightmare on Sperm Street. And like Mr. X brought up, the to accumulate all of that, you know, which is of course the male seed, which is seeking the female, could it have the after effect or the side effect of turning the woman bisexual or full-blown lesbian? Carpet Man, what's up, bro? And good to see Ojit too, Hold the Truth, and a couple of you other guys, man. Always good to see you guys here. And thank you, Pops. Salute too, man. Good to see you. If you want to jump on, Pops, the link is pinned to the top of the chat, or anybody else that wants to jump on.
And also, MD, can I just make a comment on the book also? I think you did a brilliant job of taking scientific theory and putting it into a way that general public can understand. you don't need a scientific background. You did a great job on that. I think that's one of the things that makes the book so great, is that you're explaining, really complex scientific explanations, but you make it so that the common person can understand, the layman or so forth. So I think you did a great job on that.
Thank you, Mr. X. I made sure that I explained it. I still gave some scientific attributes to it, but definitely had to put it in layman terms. Dutch, did you have anything on it, or did you get a chance to check the book, or would you like me to read anything off for it?
I want to buy the 3 books, and I give you a link about the twins, the white twin and the black twin. I give you the link from the YouTube channel. It is the 2 twins. The one
yes.
red one. No?
I remember you. Yeah, you left the comment, right?
Yeah, I left a comment. I give you now the link in the private chat.
Okay. Okay.
You say about two different men, and it's like a cat. A cat of 2 wounds. 2 wounds.
Yes. Now,
I know
that I mentioned that in the book. That is called, in humans, being that the human has 1 uterus, the female, it is a twin egg, and one man fertilizes 1 egg, and the other man fertilizes the other egg. It's called heteropaternal superfecundation. And heteropaternal, of course, different man, different father, paternal. And when you told me about that, that is a really amazing story. I have to admit that is very, very amazing. I thank you for that. And that
it reminds me on the movie Prometheus. The glue, the stuff, the sperm. It's like the
alien.
Not the alien, not the glue in the tube. The slimes.
The slime, the black slime in the tube.
Yeah. It reminds me of the sperm. I'm thinking a movie Prometheus.
Yes. It's in a way, it's like an alien life form. The sperm is a half of a cell, or if it's something that once it gets in, it's going to start creating something. Yeah, I honestly, I had thought about that too. And I said, yes, it's like they actually classify the sperm as a germ. Yeah. So the sperm in our bodies, it's not a full cell. And like Mr. X was saying, and I mentioned in Seminal Intelligence, it seems that sperm has an intelligence to it that goes beyond our conscious intelligence. Yeah. So we have a...
Sorry, I'm trying to... something people who children are raped and how you say it, the multi people suffered raped like children, and you have something, an imprint too. People are kids and people the imprint with child abuse.
Yes, it can be imprinted onto them. Yes, from the sperm, and that is a thought I've thought about. Like Jake Truth says, twins with 2 different fathers, they're not loyal. But when you look at that, there are many cases of that, even though it is rare. Heteropaternal superfecundation, which is the scientific term, but this is the same thing that happens when a woman has fraternal twins. So when a woman has twins that aren't identical, it's from 2 different eggs that have been fertilized by 2 different sperm from the husband. But if she is cheating, there is a chance where one person can fertilize 1 egg and another man can fertilize the other egg. And in the case of what you were saying, Dutch Pill, it's he's definitely no, I definitely see that. I'm looking for Seminal Intelligence in chapter 7. I do mention sperm may have a mind of its own. This statement creates a series of questions that reveals how much uncharted territory still exists in this area of science. Seminal intelligence is, for the most part, a fairly unexplored field of scientific research, and it often presents very surprising facts about sperm when results from new studies arise. Can sperm think for itself? So I pose these questions in there, and I say to myself and to others, can sperm think for itself? It is nothing less than fascinating to know sperm deposited near a vagina has the ability to still impregnate a woman. Sperm can survive for days after it has been ejaculated inside of a body, and it lives approximately 30 minutes if it remains moist when ejaculated on top of a body. So the fact that the sperm can find its way into the vagina, past the cervix, the uterus, to the fallopian tubes, where it can lurk and wait to fertilize, to try to fertilize an egg, because the ovum chooses the egg. That's another groundbreaking scientific fact that has just been revealed in the last few decades. Could semen be created for different purposes? The different compounds in semen might somehow influence them to have more or less of an intent in fulfilling a certain mission. All seminal loads are not created equal. This is a scientific fact demonstrated through a variety of experiments which show how many different grades of semen can be produced. How many types of semen can be created? Now, over 923 proteins have been identified in seminal fluid so far. That's just the proteins. That's not to mention the other stuff, bacteria, the seminal microbiome, and other things as well. Yeah, this is the Nightmare on Sperm Street. It is a serious. It is a rabbit hole that has no end.
Well, can I comment on the intelligence part?
Yes.
Like we had talked before in other parts of Wisdom Radio about the flagellum, and how the thing that moves it around has a rotor, it has a stator, it has a drive shaft. It's a perfectly operating mechanical motor, electrical motor. And that technology has existed from the beginning of Earth's time. Yet it took mankind thousands of years from the beginning of his existence to invent that machinery. So the argument could be made that within the cellular structure, there might be more advanced technology than we have here on Earth.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. I want something to say, sorry. Klaus Donna have a thing. Show a DNA thing, alien thing. It looks like a frog.
Yes.
You know the YouTube thing.
Yeah, I've listened to his lectures. Klaus Donner. He also showed tools that were found, ancient tools that they used for childbirth that have to be held in a certain way. Flutes, ancient flutes that have different notes. Because we have the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But these have different sounds. Yeah, Klaus Donner is amazing. He is truly amazing.
And you have a DNA. The people look like frogs. The face of the frog. It's in the,
yes.
Yeah.
But they even have those pictures of those people on the temples of Egypt. They have amphibian type head,
and that's why the sperm look like a frog. It's like a nano symbiotic being. Sperm.
Exactly. Yeah. And with its own intelligence, with it. Yeah. It really had me wondering, because that's why I wrote the chapter Seminal Intelligence. I said to myself, sperm, could sperm influence or control thoughts of another person? Now, there is proof of this, that sperm can influence, but now can it control? And influence is a type of control. So, this lets it go very deep. I say that, remember, seminal plasma in which sperm resides contains over 1,000 different elements, and its effect on the human mind are being studied without any current research that provides complete answers. So even though it's being studied, There's no research that's giving us a complete answer. It's still speculative. This presents enough information to create an insight where a person should proceed with caution when deciding to become intimate with someone they don't know. So women that are obtaining sperm from many different men, we don't know what's happening to them. They don't know what's happening to them. Mr. X has a good theory, and that theory also has more evidence from what people have talked about, where they see some promiscuous women starting to behave in bisexual ways. And this is, nothing against somebody that's bisexual. We're stating science and fact here. The power of sperm is it is expansive to a point where modern science may never catch up to reveal more than a fraction of its secrets. I ask, could sperm possess intelligence independent from other components in seminal plasma? So the components in the semen, in the plasma, in which the sperm reside, could sperm possess an independent intelligence of that? And could those chemicals and elements even possess a type of intelligence as well? So when I think about it, this is some deep stuff, and it's over. It's good to see you, brother. Matter of fact, it's over is visiting the Netherlands. We have Dutch Black Pill here with us tonight. Yeah. It's over. If you want to jump on, it's over. Dutch Black Pill is from the Netherlands as well. Yeah. But It's Over is also, if I remember correctly, a biochemist, I think. So he's an expert in the field of genetics. And this is some really, really amazing research. Woody Johnson has a question. Can you talk about what we know regarding the egg choosing the sperm, or what? Okay, this is a good one. So I'll just scroll down to chapter 8, because I mentioned that in vaginal intelligence. Let me just see. Okay, I'll go through this. Some of these chapters are a little long. Okay, I'm just going to vaginal intelligence. Okay, so in vaginal intelligence, matter of fact, I'll share the screen if I can for Woody. Let me just pull that back. Wisdom Radio, do eggs also mix with the DNA of sperm or just incubate them? No, it actually mixes. It's actually, when the sperm makes it to the egg, when it's chosen, which is what we'll be talking about in a second, it the combination of either the X or Y chromosome that it will add to the woman's X chromosome will determine whether or not the newly created, conception of life will either be male or female. So if it's a Y chromosome added to her X, it will be male. And if it's an X, it will be female, XX or XY. Let me see. Carbon Man says her husband was also white from a little scan and he didn't. Okay, let me check. I think this is It's Over. It's Over. Is this you?
MD, my guy. What's up, brother?
What's up, brother? How is the Netherlands, man? We got a veteran right here with us that lives there.
Yeah, man. Netherlands is crazy, man. This place is. I know this isn't the other channel, but this place
it's
is
okay.
It's the black pill in effect. This is black pill reality over here, man. It's crazy.
What part are you in? Are you in Amsterdam?
Yeah, I'm in Amsterdam, man. I'm a little north of Amsterdam, but yeah, I've been here for like 6-7 weeks, man. This place is god damn.
The red light district must be beautiful, right?
Yeah, man, but a lot of tourists, a lot of people doing crazy shit here, man. It's not like how it used to be. Like, MD, you don't understand, man. I'm on my bike riding around seeing motherfuckers, man. So many curry cells and rice cells and suicide watch over here, man. It is brutal. It is brutal.
Oh, this is great, man. Dutch Black Pill. What part of Netherlands are you in?
I live in Friesland in the north.
Okay.
Netherlands.
Friesland. Okay. Yeah. Because I remember when I was in Amsterdam, I met two people from Eindhoven. I think that was more south, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it was beautiful, man. I must return. I must return to it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, yeah, I will, and I will let you know when I'm coming
Yeah.
to visit. Dan, yeah, definitely. It's over. Did you get a chance to look at the book a little, or you can read the first chapter for free, first and second chapter on Amazon.
I mean, I remember talking to you about the book, man. I think it was summer 2020. We were talking about how sperm affects women and how sperm quality differs man to man depending on his body composition, age, fat, health factors, and risks. So I haven't gotten the book yet, haven't had time, but definitely going to go ahead and purchase it probably tonight or tomorrow and make sure I get a nice read on it, man. Congratulations on the book, MD. I know you were working on it for a while, so I'm just happy to see it hit the shelves.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm so happy, and I'm so glad that Mr. X, a few people got to check it, and Woody had posed a comment too. Oh yeah, and Tony Bruno, he ordered his book on Friday, received it on ton. Oh, thank you, Tony. If you want to jump on too, if any questions you have on it, Tone, the link is at the top of the chat, man. It's always good to see you here, man. Always. Yeah, this is I will share the screen. Let me see. Okay, I'm just figuring out how do I do this now with because I have the PDF open. Share screen. Okay, I'll share this screen. Let me know if can you guys see the PDF chapter 8?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay,
yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so this is addressing Woody's question too with the ovum. So chapter 8, vaginal intelligence. The subconscious intelligence displayed in functions throughout the human body is amazing. In the previous chapter, evidence for seminal intelligence was presented in a way that makes it hard for anyone to deny it exists. But the female reproductive system also has many types of intelligences that reside throughout her anatomy as well. Ovum intelligence. So I will start to go through ovum intelligence and I'll just stop. I just wanted to show you guys where I was at so I can continue. Let's start at the egg and work our way back to the vaginal canal. The egg, or scientifically classified as the ovum, has an intelligence of its own. Ovum intelligence is real and it complements seminal intelligence. In fact, they complement each other. But it is the ovum that chooses the sperm. There are studies revealing how the ovum releases chemicals known as chemoattractants that signals a sperm to swim faster towards it. But if the ovum isn't pleased for some reason, it will release chemicals to reduce the sperm's speed, which could applicably be called chemodeterrence. And that was something I coined because in the scientific literature, they have chemoattractants, and they say that it can produce chemical signals to slow down. So it says now these, and I added that in where I say these signals can either tell a sperm to speed up or slow down, the chemodeterrence or the chemoattractants, depending on what the ovum decides. So this is why I put it in as how does an ovum know this? That this signifies some type of, whether it be subconscious intelligence, pre-programmed intelligence, or sometimes they just want us to think it's just some unconscious mechanism, which, there are too many. The fact that it can choose one from the other really makes you wonder why. The fact ovum and sperm contain a type of intelligence is fascinating. And these facts bring knowledge about reproduction into an entirely new area of understanding. Regardless of how persistent the spermatozoa, it is amazing how they can still be refused by the ovum. This must be the ultimate form of rejection in the reproductive universe. But there has to be a reason for this type of last-minute rejection. There is always the possibility of incompatibility or some other unforeseen factor that convinces an ovum to reject a sperm, which is incredible in itself, but also funny at the same time. Imagine a sperm that has just made an incredible journey from being ejaculated into the proper female orifice. and is then constantly fighting with other members of his load while surviving a vaginal pH level change, escaping dead-end crevices in the cervix, running an enormous gauntlet of flesh across the uterine cavity. And when he finally makes it to the fallopian tubes, the ovum eventually ghosts him. The ovum basically releases.
Oh shit!
I knew you were gonna love this. I knew you were gonna love this. It's over.
Yo, this
I
is
put
good.
that, and that is one full paragraph. I start with "Imagine a sperm has just made the incredible
Yep.
journey," and it ends with "the ovum eventually ghosts him." If
Yeah.
that isn't black pilled on a molecular level,
The sperm got fucking left on red.
he got left. Oh my goodness, it is
Holy
hilarious.
shit.
When I put that in, I said I got to put some sense of humor. I got to put some MD in there, you know. So then I continue with the ovum basically releases a chemical signal, the equivalent of being reproductive mace. In a sense, the sperm gets pepper sprayed by chemodeterrents, only to be absorbed. I know you're gonna love reading this, bro. You are gonna enjoy this because I throw these little bits, you know, of humor, and
of course,
you know, it gets pepper sprayed by these chemodeterrents, only to be absorbed into her somatic cells and possibly become a memory of the unchosen ones. Researchers from 2 prominent universities found that ovum will effectively choose sperm it wants and nothing less. There is no great race, and this is surprising. The strongest sperm get there because the egg influences chemoattractants in the follicular fluid to let them get there. And if something doesn't feel right, chemodeterrents are deployed like bouncers to escort overeager achievers out of the nightclub. An analogy for this scenario could be like meeting an online date for dinner, only to realize they don't look anything like their picture in real life. But instead of releasing chemodeterrents, you back away slowly from the dinner table as if you had somewhere else to go.
Yeah, this is brutal, man.
Thanks,
this
man.
Is fucking brutal.
So it's so brilliant because it gives us laymen the concept clearly of what's going on at cellular level.
Thank you, man. And you know, guys like it's always been with us since the first show, man. In 2020, he's like the super old school with us. So I know when he reads this book, he's gonna be like, man, MD, you put part of your personality into some of this stuff.
This son of a bitch did it again, man. That's what I'm gonna say, man.
Oh
man, but MD, I gotta say, like, it's hard to digest such brutal biological facts without having some sort of humor to cope with, to be honest. Because a lot of guys, if they would read a really cut and dry, like study type of literature, you know, they might not be engaged with it, and they might not, you know, have the strength to continue to keep reading that shit. So you got to have humor in there to help guys cope somehow and digest the material. Because man, imagine being one of those sperm that gets pepper sprayed, man. That's fucked up.
Straight pepper sprayed, ghosted, and then sprayed on top of that.
God damn.
Backed away from the dinner table. It's just,
oh shit.
It's just like as if you had somewhere else to go. I was writing that laughing, man. Laughing to myself saying this is great. Because, you know, in the pursuit of finding this out, I found out a few new things because it took me years of compiling little bits of research and then coming to the last month and a half of production. I told Scribe, I said, look, bro, I said, I can't even do the show, man. I said, this is so intense. I said, every time Saturday or Wednesday comes up, I can't break my mode of concentration. So, you know, I think he did Wisdom Radio for the last 2 previous weeks. And I told him, look, I'm going to do it tonight for sure. I'm back. And I think he's working on, he's building an app or something, you know, he's definitely doing some research. So I told him, whenever you know, if you want to come on, if not, I said, you know, and this is great. I mean, it's always, I mean, we got Black Pill royalty up in here. It's over. We got Dutch Black Pill, and Mr. X has been a strong supporter. He's been there with us, creating some really good questions for me, and it's a pleasure always to have him. JP Hives, my brother, what's up, man? If you want to pop on JP, the link is up there. Same thing with Woody and Tony and the rest of you guys, whoever wants to pop on, man. And Black Pill Crusader says, quite literally, it was over before it even began. And yeah, in a sense, man, and it's like It's Over says, it has to have some bit of that humor in there. But as I go forward into go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen this group? It's on the channel Soft White Underbelly called the Whitakers. Have you ever seen them?
I've heard of the channel Soft White Underbelly, but I don't know about. Is that like one of his videos, the Whitakers?
Yeah, the Whitakers. It's basically a family. I can't remember. I think it was in Virginia, but I can't remember where. Up in the mountains, they were all inbred basically, and like one of the brothers, he can't even talk. He just barks like a dog. Literally, that's how he communicates.
Holy!
It shows you the effects of inbreeding.
Yes.
And that, I guess it's so morally wrong. We know that on a conscious level, but I think the sperm and the intelligence of the ovum, they know it too. It's like why does that happen? If we're just animals evolved to higher order, I don't see why that should happen. Maybe it's part of the creation. It's so morally reprehensible. So morally wrong that.
Well, it's also genetically incompatible, I would say, like letting us know, that, oh, we got JP up in the house, my brother. Oh, he got the book. Great. Oh, I'm so glad, because when I was creating it, I made sure that they would print it with a glossy cover. I'm glad. Because I didn't know, I was going to choose Matt. So what's up, JP? What do you think? Have you read some of it?
Haven't started yet. Oh,
okay.
Shit. Hold on. Yeah. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah. We hear you fine, bro.
Oh, okay then. No, I haven't started yet, but I can't wait to dig in,
Okay. Okay. Cool, man. I'm just going over a little bit of chapter 8, vaginal intelligence, where I was throwing in, showing a little bit of the humor where the ovum chooses, So I also say on a macro level, women hold the key to sex, because we already know men hold the key to relationships, women hold the key to sex. And then I say, and it now seems that on a micro level, they even hold the key to reproduction, because the ovum is actually choosing this egg. And as I go down a little bit further, there was a few things I think I mentioned the superfecundation. So I also asked some more questions. To get people to think. This clearly implies another level of ovum intelligence that goes far beyond the conscious thought of a woman. Or could the ovum be revealing something the woman isn't revealing? So let me back up for a second. They actually did tests, right, where they put the egg and the partner's sperm, right, in vitro, and then they put a different sperm, and the egg actually, it says, let me read what I wrote. Another fact from the egg choosing study was the ovum not always agreeing with a woman's choice of sex partner. Researchers found that the ovum did not always attract sperm from their sex partners in comparison to sperm from a different male. This clearly implies another level of intelligence that goes far beyond the conscious thought of a woman. Or could the ovum be revealing something the woman isn't revealing? Could a woman's ova be used as sort of a lie detector test in finding out if she would be faithful to her partner? Can the ovum choose a better mate for a woman than her conscious mind? Does an ovum think for itself? Does it seek compatible genetics without regard for what the woman wants or thinks? Mm-hmm. An ovum, right? When I think about this, I wonder, because, you start to think to yourself, what is it? The fact that this new research is out, well, it's not even new research. This is just what they're letting us know, so yeah, man, there is just question upon question upon question. Jake says, Mr. X, there was a family that had blue skin due to inbreeding. Wow, I didn't know about
Yeah,
that.
but that was a blood disorder though. So
Okay.
I remember that story. They
Okay.
found out it was a blood disorder. It was hemoglobin deficient. Like the blood wasn't getting enough
Oh yeah,
oxygen, and
yeah.
it
That
gave
that
her.
will that will give that effect. Jose says, when MT mentions the vaginal intelligence, it's like referring to her choosing to make a child or not based on her hormones. Yeah, exactly. It's actually the egg. So it's actually the egg choosing that. So it really it lets me wonder. Pheromones let the woman know if the man's DNA is compatible and makes the woman feel aroused, turned off if the man's DNA is not a good compatibility. Now that is the MHC, the major histocompatibility complex. In humans, it's called the HLA, the human leukocyte antigen. But Jake, when a woman takes birth control pills, it messes that up, and she chooses a man. It's the compatibility you're talking about is her choosing a man with a different immune system. So when they have children, the child will be immune to a broader amount of things. If he has a similar immune system, it will be immune system overlap, and the child's immune system will not be broader than the parents. So it'd be kind of recessive. Birth control messes that sense up to where she chooses a guy with an immune system that's closer to hers. And after, what has it been, 5-6 decades now? The birth control pill came out in 60. There is an immune system overlap epidemic with more children allergic to many things and other things as well. He says, I wonder pheromones trigger the chemoattractants and deterrents. Well, what they're saying here is that this is on a chemical, well, that's a chemical level, pheromones, but this is a more of an inner molecular. So with the ovum itself, so it has a whole different type of intelligence that we would be, Carpman says, sometime if you want to have a chat person that can share a story with you that I think helps prove that there. Yeah, hey, Carpet Man, the link is up there if you want to jump on, or if you want to chat personally one day, you can always write me at Wisdom Radio, just like the name on the thing.
Very interesting. Sorry. I want to say you have a negative blood type and a positive blood type, and sometimes I hear about you must find a partner. You don't must have the same DNA, and that's and the woman don't choose the sperm. Yeah, Chad and Tyrone have good sperm. It's like it's the thing. That's the yeah.
Well, it makes me wonder if she's going to refuse Chad or Tyrone. Could it be the ovum, or even the Finley is saying the HCT? Now, I don't see why it would be called the HCT, histocompatibility. They call it the MHC, the major histocompatibility complex. But there could be other abbreviations for that as well. But I think when you think about it, why would she reject the Chad or Tyrone? Could it be that immune system is too similar? There's so many things that I brought out with the Nightmare on Sperm Street, because basically to say that, look, these girls that are absorbing so many different types of sperm, we know one thing for sure: they will lose the ability to pair bond with a single male.
100%. 100%. As soon as a woman's vagina has been tainted by the sperm of Chad or Tyrone, man, everything about her changes. Her brain wiring changes. Her dopamine reward system changes, and maybe even her ovum changes. Who even knows? It's a brutal concept, man. As soon as you get a woman who's used and abused, it's over for her, man. You can't even you can never ever try and lay down a future or have a child with someone like that.
Exactly. Yeah, she becomes And you know, and this is not shaming, this is identifying. She becomes a nightmare on Sperm Street. She can be a spermaholic or a semen demon or or the succubus, you know, the infamous succubus, as Black Ram used to put it. JP, you had something there?
No,
Okay.
man, I'm just taking this all in, man.
I'm
Like I
glad.
said, I haven't started the book yet, but
I know when you start the book, man, you are going to be having question, and you know all. You know what's great about it too.
I got questions now just listening to y'all talk about it. So I got
Hey,
questions
firing them
now.
up. And you know what's great? If you just flip to the back of the book, you'll notice I left all of the links in there with a little bit bigger print. So there, because I know with the print, you'll have to type those in.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
Cool.
yeah, so all of the studies that I'm talking about, man, the ovum choosing the egg. Matter of fact, in chapter 8, it gets so deep that I get into not only does the ovum has intelligence, you guys are going to love this, the fallopian tubes have intelligence. Now, all right, we'll go into, are the fallopian tubes selective in deciding which sperm they let into the area? So, of course, we know from the uterus, the fallopian tubes are connected to that. So, at the opening from the uterus to the fallopian tubes, where they will go up into the fallopian tubes and lurk and wait for the egg to be released from the ovum, right? The fallopian tubes might be selective in letting in which sperm they let through into that junction. Do uterine contractions help or hinder some sperm on their journey? And that's another thing too, because the uterus contracts to help the sperm pass that vast expanse, you know, compared to going through the vaginal canal and the cervix. Now the uterus is a broad area of flesh. You know, that's why I call it the gauntlet of flesh going to the fallopian tube. And, you know, I say, does even the cervix, does selecting sperm begin at the cervix entrance? You know, is that where it begins? Can cervical mucus choose and guide sperm through their journey? Could sperm selection begin in the vaginal canal? All of these questions can bring scientists and people in general to a better understanding of the human sexual experience and reproduction that can happen as a result. And then I get into fallopian intelligence. If a woman is born with only one functioning fallopian tube, they're saying that that tube can actually move over and catch an egg from the opposite ovum. So that's showing that there's some type of it, like some type of basically an alien arm. You know, how does the fallopian tube know an opposite ovary has produced an egg? So I asked those questions. You know, I had to get straight Eric von Daniken-ish with the questions on this, you know. So, and any type of critics would, you know, I'd be like, look, these are questions. These are very valid questions that I am posing. A woman can get pregnant even when the ova releases an egg. There's something called transperitoneal migration of ova that goes through the peritoneal liquid, the fluid that is produced to lubricate tissue lining the abdominal wall and pelvic cavity, allows the egg to travel and eventually produce an intrauterine pregnancy. I mean, just when I was, you know, putting everything together, because that's why, you know, it took me so long. I had to go through it. I had to make sure I worded it right. Had to make sure the links to all of the science articles and the research was available for anybody, you know, to look at, especially someone on the level of It's Over, being a biochemist. I think Gauss Newton is a scientist as well. So, I mean, it's a pleasure to have people like that even, you know, come on a show and be able to talk with them about it. Right.
It's a pleasure to be here, man, and have these exchange of ideas, to be honest, and especially to be able to say things that a lot of people are afraid of talking about because they're afraid of repercussions from academia. They're afraid of repercussions from wherever they work. So I'm glad you have the bravery to come out here and just, you know, keep it a buck, you know, put your nuts on the table and tell them, look, man, if you guzzle too much sperm, it's a wrap for you, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, MD, I was gonna hop off, man, but it's
Hey,
a pleasure. Hopefully, I'll catch you guys on Saturdays. Always nice seeing you, my brother. You keep on winning, man.
thank you, brother. And it's always a pleasure, and always look forward to seeing you, man. You take care and have a great one, man.
All right, take care, bro.
All right. Yeah, man. It's a pleasure to have it over on. It's always been a pleasure, man. If Mr. X or Dutch Black Pill have a question,
Yeah,
or yeah,
it's just like this book is groundbreaking because the pharmaceutical companies, the birth control manufacturers, they don't want this information getting out. This, like you put in the book, it's a multi-billion-dollar a year business keeping women sexually promiscuous, and to feel that there's no repercussions from casual sex. And I also like to mention too, I enjoyed the chapter on the media and how they use the example of the show Sex in the City and how it influences women. And that's true. That's 100% true. I mean, you could say the same things about the Kardashian. Females in general, much more than males, I think. I don't know if males get really influenced by the media, but I think that chapter hit it right on the head because they do see that in the media and they want to emulate other women. I mean, they just want to, or imitate. They, the unrealistic lifestyle or unhealthy lifestyle of casual sex. So the book covers every part of it too. Yeah. But yeah.
no,
Yeah, it's being pushed. It's being pushed at a very high level. Sorry
I
about
appreciate that. No, I really do, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably produce some shorter reads as well. I mean, there was so many parts that I didn't add in because I mean the book would have been like 700 pages. So I figured, I will produce those and pieces, and I'll probably very very affordable $3-4 books, and then also give free information on the show as always, and the chapter you talked about, The Illusion of Safe Sex, chapter 5, actually, that's the one where I did mention the Sex in the City and the programming. I mean, I think after I talked about that for a few paragraphs, I said that they should have called the show Tales from the Clit, basically. I mean, it basically, when I did that little bit of research, because I never watched the show and everything, but I said, okay, let me do some research. I had seen a girl back in '05, I think it was, and she used to watch it, and she flew out here. She was from California, but she was living in Utah, and we had a little fling, but she watched that show, and she was like, oh, I never been to New York, this and that, and she was well traveled. She made money. She was a paralegal. She made good money, actually, 6 figures, and she was very she was promiscuous. I mean, to come out and we stayed together for like a week, and I met her on a dating site, and I look at it like, wow, that show had her living the fantasy of Sex and the City in New York City. So it's yeah, it is something, but I will go through. I'm just looking for some of this, and then I'll skip over to that chapter so I can read a little bit of it. I did want to go through the part. Okay, so it is chapter 9 where I talk about, and chapter 9 is microchimerism, and I get into the microchimerism, of course, is a blend of genetics. I started with ancient legends speak of genes from different animals that were somehow blended together to form myths, such as the griffin, hydra, or half-human hybrids. Pictures, carvings, and statues can be seen from artifacts that span far back into prehistoric times. And legends of characters like the Minotaur, Lilith, and Pan are all examples of human-animal hybrids that would be considered chimeras. But do chimeras really exist? In the case of humans, microchimerism does exist, and it results from a fetus obtaining extraparental genetics during its gestation. Now, the thing that fascinated me, and I had kept these stories of people who had been, chimeras, but some of the more fascinating ones was the one where, this was the only way for a person who doesn't exhibit visible signs of microchimerism, the only way for a person who doesn't exhibit these visible signs to know if this has happened to them is to have tests done on their genetics. All mothers and everyone who has older siblings are basically chimeras, because you're getting the genes from older siblings while you gestate. In fact, people containing extra genes from their mother because people contain extra genes from their mother because her individual cells are being exchanged with the fetus during gestation. And that's through, of course, the placenta and the umbilical cord. Now, the story of how a woman's unborn twin mothered her child. Now, when you think of that, you say, wait a minute. So how do you try to grasp that? A woman's unborn twin? How? So when she was being born, there was a twin that she absorbed in the first couple of days after conception. And now that twin put another genetic imprint into her body of itself. Many people are born with this, but they just don't know it. Now as I go on with the story, but these instances occurred during the parents, due to the parents being microchimeras without knowing, so the woman. Until extensive DNA testing was initiated, science and state did not accept basic documents or even a physician's testimony as valid proof these mothers were the biological parents of their children, because the DNA test didn't match. Genetic tests between mother and child kept confirming they could not be biologically related. Now, this was two women that had this, two separate cases. There's a documentary called My Unborn Twin is the Mother of My Child, Chimera, the Twin Inside Me, uploaded by Only Human. And it presents two separate cases where a mother's genetics did not match her biological children. In both instances, the mother of three children did not match any of the DNA of their children. And that's like, wait a second. So the mother's not matching any DNA? The first instance is about a mother who was DNA tested by the state as standard operating procedure because of her application for financial assistance. But none of the children matched the DNA. A swab test revealed there was 0% chance she was the biological mother of her own children. She was then given a blood test, which also confirmed the children could not be her biological offspring. The woman was eventually threatened with removal of her children by placing them into foster custody because there wasn't any DNA evidence proving she was the biological mother. The woman was distraught. She didn't know what to do. A court date was set and threats of losing her children weighed heavily upon her mind. But saving grace came in the form of another child. The woman was in her last trimester of pregnancy, and a lab technician was appointed to witness the childbirth and provide testimony the baby was being delivered by the woman in question. If the child's DNA did not match with the mother's genetics, then it would be a strong case for an unforeseen error in the previous DNA test that stated this woman could not be the biological mother of her other two children. But after the child's arrival, the DNA did not match the mother, even though the birth was witnessed by an appointed technician. This new information created a demand for many different tests to be performed in order to find out why the DNA between this mother and her children, or her child and the other children, did not genetically match. So as the story goes on, they said, okay, let's check other factors. They checked her mother, and her mother, which is the grandmother of these three boys, matched up. But then how doesn't the daughters match up? They checked her hair, her thyroid, other parts of the body. And until a cervical smear was admitted, right? That showed she was a chimera. It harbored the genes of two different people. So now, and that's when you think about that, right? That was in her cervix. So in the reproductive part. Now there is a case of a man who says that his unborn twin fathered his child. And they found that he had another signature in his sperm that wasn't his, which was of the unborn twin that fathered his child. He had another child that actually was his. JP, you had some?
I mean, yeah, man, this sounds like some build a bear, build a baby type shit. I don't know, man. It's like, you know, the woman just goes out and gets all these genetics, and then like it's up to, like, you know, the fetus to decide which genes it wants. Oh, okay, don't want this nose or that nose. Don't want this eyes. Uh, this hair color, texture, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of
Yeah.
that, I mean,
Yeah. Well, you know, it makes me wonder, is it something else? Is it because the fetus has its own intelligence, right? And as we were talking earlier, the sperm seems to have its own intelligence. The ovum, definitely. Fallopian tubes have an intelligence to be able to go over and guide the egg from the ovum on the opposite side. You know, kind of like making up. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it makes it seem like that the organs are a life form of their own within the body and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, just from studying, you know, the reproductive organs, like, you know, the uterus, the sperm cell, and all that. I mean, what implications would this have? I mean, for like all the other organs in the body and all that. I mean, there's a thing called unconscious bodily functions. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
unconscious from
Or
like
subconscious. Yeah.
like right, like, you know, like you got organs in your body that work without you having to make it work, like your heart, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can
Hello?
somewhat control your lungs, your brain. I mean,
The
you don't
subconscious.
really have control over your brain and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah. The blood flow. The blood flow, that is subconsciously controlled. But then, okay, we have when we're sleeping, or if we're not, like awake, that's unconscious, right? So we're conscious right now, and the opposite of that would be unconscious. If somebody, falls and gets rendered unconscious or something, or sleeps. But then, of course, while we're waking now, there is a subconscious, and that controls our blood flow, our heartbeat, all of these other things, right? Now,
I mean,
could
is it
they,
subconscious, or like is there like an awareness, or like
and that's a great question. See, this is where science needs to be studied, because they try to tell us, oh, just believe what we say. It's just subconscious, but it probably,
yeah,
right?
that
Yeah,
shit, right?
yeah, exactly. It could be an awareness. And when I think of if it was subconscious, then the opposite of subconscious is superconscious. And I've heard people talk about that. So we have the conscious, what we're speaking with each other with. And then we have the unconscious, when we're not conscious, we're sleeping. And then as we're aware right now, consciously, like you said, it could be an awareness within our body. And an awareness, like the heart might have its own special awareness. The mind and the brain, definitely two different things. We have, they never thought about the pheromones in modern science was still a theory, even though ancient cultures spoke of it, right? Until they found the vomeronasal organ. Because when they would autopsy the brain, they would rip off the lining, and that's where it led to these sensors. So they thought they were just taking off some type of casing on the brain, but that actually every little part of us has a reason. They're everything, and that everything in life, everything has a reason. There is no not reason. So yeah, we are we're much more amazing than what we're told. This is why.
Yeah. No, the deeper they go into cells, from what I've seen, and I'm sure there's other scientists who can probably have better explanation of this, it gets more complex. I mean, I saw one video where they showed the inside of a cell, and it looked like a robot. It looked like they had an artificial intelligence operating there. So for all we know, I mean, I've seen one where it looks like a factory where they have a crane and they're moving these crates around. It's all within the cell.
Oh yeah, that's the
Ah,
CRISPR gene editing technology that we have. They're actually
yeah,
trying to use it, yeah, to edit genes. Yeah, CRISPR.
yeah.
We have a mechanism. Yeah, we have it clips DNA and reattaches it. It's amazing.
I mean,
It's
unlike
amazing.
Darwin, who thought a cell was just a very simple organism, we're finding the complete opposite. It's actually far more complex. That's what science is
Mhm.
finding out today with the technology to be able to look so deeper into the cells. It's just getting more complex. It's not
Oh
getting
yeah,
less complex. So,
exactly. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
we can bring up images of these things and be astounding. You know what I mean? The machinery that's in there.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Literal machinery. You're absolutely right. And you know, I said in the at the latter part of chapter 4, the nightmare on Sperm Street. A lady who is referred to as a nightmare on Sperm Street usually doesn't realize her vagina has become a war-torn battlefield, scattered with genetics of dead warrior sperm, continually being absorbed back into the graveyard of her somatic cells to join their fallen brethren. As accumulation of seminal fluids from mortal men continues to grow inside of her body, she becomes what is referred to by many as a semen demon or the succubus. And legions of these succubi exist throughout societies in the world today as they prey upon insecurities of men, using the vice of lust to lure them into their clutches. Semen demons are like sirens who entice weak men with a lack of sense to crash themselves upon perilous rocks hidden behind the shallow shores of their beauty. These men are ultimately lured to their doom. But knowledge of these succubi, spermaholics, and semen demons can prevent a man from falling, right? It prevents a man falling from the grace in which he was born if he is strong enough to resist them. Men also create them as well. So, you know, it's not just trying to blame something, we're looking for the cause. The culture of casual sex is powered by the vice of lust. But this is not to say anyone is above the emotions of which everyone is subjected. It is to say we either control our vices or our vices control us. And, you know, those who pay the price are in full are the children. And we see this with the deadbeat dads on, you know, on YouTube and stuff like that, you know, making channels. Yeah,
Basically, 90% of the manosphere.
yeah, you hit it on the button.
Basically, 98% of the manosphere deadbeats.
Yep. You hit it on the button. Yep.
But MD, I mean to cut you off and all that. Maybe I mean beyond like the cultural conditioning and all that, and all those type of arguments. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but maybe there's like a more utilitarian purpose as to why the woman chooses why the woman's anatomy chooses to warehouse or stockpile all these genetics if she takes the more promiscuous route with her sexuality. Maybe.
Mhm. It could be, or what I realize is it could be, it could get addictive, you know, because that's the real thing that separates us from animal, you know, to say, okay, what really separates us, you know, like to know that we can do it. Just because we can do it doesn't mean we should. And that really takes self-control. Most of us, you, myself, many of us, Mr. X, that's what we've slept with different women. We've had a privilege that we didn't realize maybe that a lot of guys don't have. You know, we see that with the man. Yeah. We look at these young guys.
I have a question. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I saw the Dragon Ball Z, the episode about Cell, and he say in the episode, Cell have cells think have own thinking, you know, her own mind. The Dragon Ball Z is very a lot of knowledge about cells. It's very interesting, and the thing about the sperm, the genetics. It's like we are engineered I think door extraterrestrials. I have a feeling about this. It's very interesting. It's very we are very old human beings. The being.
Yeah.
We are humans, and the word being is very it's interesting.
Oh yeah, very interesting. Being, we could be human beings, we could be human becomings, you know, because we're always becoming something more. But the being, with the existing, you're right. It's fascinating.
It's like angels and angles.
Yes.
Dimensions, angels, dimensions, and angles.
Yes.
The word.
The word. Yeah. The words. There are secrets within the words. I notice a lot of secrets. Yeah. And yeah, that sounds like a great episode with the Dragon Ball Z and the cells, and you know they know that the cell itself has intelligence.
Yeah, it's like within the cell have different cells of Goku, Piccolo, Vegeta. It's like G.I. Joe, like Serpentor, Hitler, Caesar. People know about genetics for a long time. It's very old. It's Hitler, one of the super race. It's very old. We know for a fact we can clone, we can create human beings out of nothing. It is a secret, like Plum Island by New York.
Yes, off the coast.
The beast is found. Actually, a video about the beast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's where they do all the experiments and stuff on Plum Island.
Yeah, Plum Island. Yeah.
No, that definitely. There is. I would think that the ruling class know, and we are just finding out. Yeah, you know. So
yeah, I definitely think it was planned out ahead of time.
Yeah.
But
And,
you know,
you
it's
know-
interesting when you mention all the. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, MD.
No, go ahead. Mhm.
You know, it's interesting because when I think back, you know, like you talked about Amsterdam and the red light district and the girls hanging out in the streets, and there's something about it for me as a male personally that it's a turn off.
Mhm.
And you know, it's just, and then now the book kind of breaks it down better. You know, subconsciously in your mind, I'm thinking it's a turn off to be with a woman, no matter how attractive she is, with the thought of she might have had sex with 5 or 6 guys that day. You know what I mean? She might be so filled with sperm, like subconsciously, it was a turnoff for me, no matter how attractive the woman was, if I knew that, you know. And we're seeing it now, the subconscious, our instincts, why we feel that way. You know,
you said the key word, Mr. X, the mind. Maybe there's more to the mind than you know we know about, or you know more than what academia can tell us and all that.
Oh, absolutely.
More than
absolutely.
maybe what religion and commercial spirituality can tell us about the mind and all that. There's a lot more to the mind than that we can be aware of all that.
One of my friends told me he's a real deep thinker. And, you know, he was telling me, he said, the mind is not part of the universe. The universe is part of the mind. And I was like, man, that is one of the most profound things I ever heard. So basically, the universe was created by the mind, the whole concept of the universe. The mind is part of the universe. The universe is part of the mind. The mind is so amazing when we think about it. It's like, what is it? It's definitely not the brain. You know, the brain has a physical weight. The mind doesn't. You know, are we streaming the mind? Like, yeah, we look at a computer. The physical body is like the computer. The mind is like the internet, you know, that gets plugged into it and we're connected with it. It's something much, much more vast than the body. And it's more vast than everything when you think about it. The mind, you know, and what's that old saying? Where the mind goes, the body follows. The mind is really, you know, and that's part of why I started Wisdom Radio. You know, when I told Scribe, I said, look, man, I said, the manosphere is great. We meet up, you know, we understand, we see that, you know, there's men, you know, need to talk with each other and stuff. But it always comes back like the real thinkers. Again, it's like the zombie. Once I get the zombie book rolling, I already have a lot of chapters written out. because that was going to be produced first. But I said, I got to produce the sperm book. And I kept the title secret. I was even considering, from what Scribe and I had went over, I was going to publish it under a different name, because he's like, man, Nightmare on Sperm Street, it's kind of, so,
I like the name. I like the name.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A lot of people,
Yeah.
I would say about 40% told me they really like it. They said the name was good. And about 60% was like, I'd say about 50%, 10 was undecided, and 50% was like, man, that's it's a tough title to market and this and that. And I said, well, once people realize, like, they hear us talk on the show, I think they'll understand, because
I agree with it. I agree with it, because it's taken basically from that movie. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm,
That's a great title to appeal to it's something people can relate with subconsciously. Like, oh, I remember that movie, and let me look at this book. It works. I think it works great.
Thank you. Yeah, I kept it secret, and I said, you know what? As far as keeping the psychic energy together, and I said I would just release it, and I can always publish parts of it, like go more in depth, because there was so much more to put in about the birth control. I mentioned about the problems with the hormonal contraceptives, like the ring and the what was the other one? The pill, the patch, the there was a few of them. The implant, just the hormonal contraceptives, not just with the other stuff. I think it's Dutch. Oh yeah, Dutch is right. Yeah, this is a good one, man. Yeah, matter, mind, and consciousness. You're absolutely right. It's like we're not sure where the consciousness is coming from. We're not sure what it is. It seems there are some theories that they say that the consciousness is what created the matter, so it can inhabit it. So yeah, we're not really sure at all, man. But yeah, I've been going through literature and stuff all day, and getting, hopefully, I don't know if the zombie book will come next, or if it will be another medical base book like this one with the stuff. But I'd like to thank everybody, man, in the chat, and of course JP Hives, Dutch Black Pill, and definitely Mr. X, man. You guys have a great night, man, and thank you for coming, man.
Thanks for on the show, MD. Good night, everyone.
All right. Good night.